Her phone kept vibrating on the kitchen counter, message after message, calls she never answered. A colleague asking where she was, another asking if she was still joining the meeting. Then one final text sent, not by Nancy, but from inside the same house she would never walk out of again. Where is she? Her car is not home. That was the moment everything turned upside down. Because Nancy Metayer Bowen was inside that house, she had never left, and the person pretending not to know where she was the same man investigators say had already ended her life. For everyone on the outside, it looked like concern. A husband helping search for his missing wife.com, cooperative, present. But behind that message sat a silence so unnatural, so cold, it would later become one of the most chilling details in the case. Because by then, Nancy was already gone. Nancy Metayer Bowen was not a woman people easily forgot. She was the kind of person who entered a room with purpose, sharp, articulate, deeply committed to the people she served. In Florida politics, she was becoming impossible to ignore, a rising force, a vice mayor, a public servant with a future that looked larger than city government. There were whispers she was preparing for something bigger, something national, the kind of move that changes careers forever. Friends said she was energized, focused, ready, but behind polished speeches and public appearances was a private life no one could fully see. And that's the thing about public figures. People often mistake visibility for transparency. To the world, Nancy had it all together. To those closest to her, she was also carrying grief. Just months earlier, her younger brother had died by suicide, a devastating blow that left her family shattered. She was mourning, working, leading and, somehow still moving forward, but pressure has a way of collecting in hidden places, and while the public saw resilience, investigators would later begin piecing together a darker emotional landscape inside her own home, one where silence mattered, one where appearances covered fractures, one where the person closest to her may have been unraveling in ways no one fully understood. The first sign that something was wrong wasn't blood, it was absence. Nancy missed a scheduled meeting. For someone with her discipline, that alone raised alarms. Calls were placed, messages sent, no response. At first, people assumed she was delayed, maybe overwhelmed, maybe resting, but then the concern sharpened into urgency. Someone reached out to her husband. His answer was strange, not panicked, not searching, not confused, just oddly detached. He claimed he didn't know where she was, said her car wasn't home. The message landed with an eerie calm that would later be scrutinized in court filings and news reports. Alike, that wellness check would change everything. Officers arrived at the residence expecting uncertainty. Instead, they found horror. Inside the home, hidden beneath layers meant to conceal, was Nancy's body. Not in some distant location, not abandoned elsewhere, right there, in the place she should have been safest. The scene suggested not just violence but aftermath, deliberate actions taken after death, steps that implied time, planning, and an attempt to control the narrative. This wasn't chaos, it was concealment, and the questions immediately became unbearable. If she was here the whole time, who had been speaking for her? When news broke, the community struggled to process it. This was not a random attack, not an unknown intruder. This was domestic. And suddenly, people began revisiting every smiling photo, every public appearance, every polished family image with new eyes. Had there been signs? Had anyone noticed tension? Did anyone hear arguments, see bruises, sense fear? The cruel truth about many domestic violence cases is that the violence often blooms in private, while normalcy is carefully maintained in public. Friends described Nancy as strong, capable, intelligent, the kind of woman people assumed could navigate anything. But strength doesn't make someone immune to danger, especially when the threat lives under the same roof. Her husband, Stephen Bowen, became the center of the investigation almost immediately. He was located away from the home and taken into custody. At that point, authorities had not yet released everything they knew, but the charges would eventually paint a grim picture: premeditated murder and tampering with evidence, serious allegations that suggested not just a deadly act but an effort to erase its traces. The deeper investigators looked, the more unsettling the story became. This wasn't a sudden disappearance that spiraled into tragedy. According to affidavits, the violence had happened hours before anyone came looking, which meant there was a stretch of time, a chilling window, when the house held only two things: the body of a woman whose future had been cut short, and the man accused of causing it. What happened during those hours became one of the most haunting parts of the case, because prosecutors allege he did not immediately call for help. He did not confess to police. He did not alert family. Instead, they say he remained there, in the same home, after the killing. That detail hit people hard, because it suggested a level of emotional detachment that's difficult to comprehend. Not panic, not breakdown, but stillness, routine, delayed reaction, the ordinary behavior of someone carrying an extraordinary secret. And in true crime investigations, those quiet gaps often reveal more than the violence itself. It's what happens after the act, the choices, the words, the calculated normalcy that exposes intent. Then came the first crack in the silence. It didn't come from police interviews. It came from family. According to investigators, someone close to Stephen contacted authorities after hearing a confession so disturbing it couldn't be ignored. His uncle reportedly told police that Stephen had admitted to shooting Nancy, not once, but multiple times. The words attributed to him were brutally simple. He said he couldn't take it anymore. That sentence would echo across headlines, not because it explained anything, but because it explained so little. What exactly couldn't he take? Pressure, conflict, her success, personal instability. The motive was still foggy, but the confession shifted the case from suspicion to something far more concrete. And yet, even then, people searched for something bigger, some hidden conspiracy, a political angle, a secret threat, because the truth was too ordinary in the worst possible way. Not extraordinary evil, not organized crime, not scandal. Just the familiar, devastating pattern of violence inside a relationship. As more details surfaced, the image of the marriage grew more complicated. There had reportedly been financial stress, legal pressures tied to their property, tensions that, on paper, looked mundane, bills, disputes, household strain, the kind of stress many couples face. But in cases like this, external stressors can become accelerants when emotional instability is already present, and investigators began examining whether those pressures had contributed to a breaking point. Still, financial trouble alone does not explain homicide. Millions of people face hardship without violence. So what transformed stress into lethal intent? That question lingered because motive in domestic killings is rarely singular. It's often layered: resentment, control, insecurity, ego, fear of abandonment, perceived loss of status. And when one partner is ascending professionally, socially, emotionally, it can intensify existing fractures. Nancy was on the verge of something major. Her career was expanding, her visibility growing, her life moving outward. If someone in her orbit felt left behind, threatened, or emotionally cornered, that imbalance could become combustible. People began looking at Stephen's behavior through a different lens. Not just what he allegedly did, but how he carried himself afterward. The calm messages, the misleading responses, the movement of items connected to the crime. Investigators said there were efforts to transfer or hide evidence. Those actions suggested awareness, not confusion, deliberation, not impulse. And that distinction matters because it reshapes the narrative from tragic outburst to something more calculated. What terrified many observers was how ordinary everything looked from the outside. No dramatic warning signs splashed across social media. No public collapse. Just another respected couple in a suburban home. That's what makes these cases so unsettling. They force people to confront how violence can exist behind curated normalcy. The danger wasn't visible until it was irreversible. Then came the detail that changed how everyone understood the crime. Investigators alleged the weapon used was a shotgun and that steps had been taken to muffle the sound. A pillowcase, according to reports, may have been used in an attempt to reduce the blast. If true, that wasn't desperation. That was preparation. A choice designed to avoid detection. A method intended to buy time. And suddenly, the case no longer looked like an explosive argument gone wrong. It looked like forethought. That revelation reframed everything. Because if the sound was intentionally reduced, then whoever pulled the trigger expected to remain inside that house afterward, without neighbors alerted, without immediate police response. It suggested not just intent to kill, but intent to control what came next. The concealment, the texts, the delayed discovery, it all began to align into a chilling sequence rather than isolated acts. And then the final, devastating pattern emerged. Nancy had reportedly been shot 3 times. 3 times. 3. That number matters, not because it's sensational, but because it speaks to persistence, to continuation, to a decision repeated in seconds. Investigators described her body as wrapped afterward, hidden beneath coverings in an upstairs bedroom. That act of wrapping, of physically covering the result, has often been interpreted in criminal psychology as a sign of distancing, shame, or an attempt to transform a person into an object. But whatever the psychological meaning, one fact remained. She was not treated with urgency or dignity after death. She was concealed, and while the world searched for motive, the answer may have been less dramatic than expected. Not politics, not revenge, not scandal. Control. The oldest motive in domestic homicide, the refusal to lose influence over someone whose life was expanding beyond your reach. The full truth, as prosecutors now allege, is painfully direct. Nancy Metayer Bowen was killed inside her own home by the man she married. Authorities say Stephen Bowen shot her multiple times with a shotgun, attempted to conceal the crime, misled others through text messages, and later confessed to a family member. He has been charged with premeditated murder and tampering with evidence, though he has entered a not guilty plea as the legal process continues. And the reason? Not one dramatic trigger, not one explosive secret, but the convergence of emotional instability, domestic tension, and the need to exert power in a relationship where one partner was moving forward, while the other was allegedly collapsing inward. The brutality wasn't random, it was personal, intimate, preventable. The kind of violence that hides behind closed doors until it erupts in irreversible silence. Nancy was preparing for her next chapter. Instead, her story ended in the very place she should have been safest, and the man who claimed not to know where she was had been standing closest to the truth all along. Some houses don't keep memories, they keep echoes.